Today, we are honored by Shri Bajrang Dagraji, the Secretary General of Vishwa Parishad. By profession, he was a chartered accountant. He was the chairman and managing director of NALCO. He left that promising career and dedicated fully to the service of nation. As a social worker, he was very much famous for his Ekal project initiated by the Vishwa Hindu Parishad to serve the people of this nation and Hindus around the globe. I happily and heartily welcome Shri Bajrang Bagra ji to this program. Welcome you, sir.
Thank you. Jai Shri Ram.
So, as we all know, Vishwa Hindu Parishad was founded in 1964 by Pujani Guruji along with Swami Chinmayananda and Apteji. And the socio-political situation currently has changed a lot from the initial stages of VHP. So, what do you think that how does VHP define its role in protecting and promoting Hindu interest in the current socio-political climate of in the global scenario?
I don't think that socio-political situation has taken any fundamental shift since the time the VHP was established. Even at that point of time, there were forces. The name was not very clearly said like today, communists or like this. They were under the guise of socialism. And the large political spectrum across several parties were socialist. Now, nobody talks of socialism. Whatever has been left, they are directly talking themselves or identifying themselves to be the communist. Communism per se cannot be anti-Hinduism or anti-Islamic or anti-Christian if we go by the fundamental theory of communism. But fact remains that they have taken a policy stand that they will align with Islamic forces and Christian forces when it comes to Hinduism, and they will oppose Hindus. That's why there is an impression that the socio-political situation has taken any fundamental shift, but it is not so. In the present situation, VHP's role remains as relevant and as classic as it was when it was established. We are focusing very little on the political side of the situation. We are still focusing by and large on the organizing the Hindu society all over the world to protect the Hindu way of life, Hindu philosophy, ideology, or Hindu dharma, if you can say Hinduism as a dharma. So, our concern still remains the same, protecting both in numbers and protecting both its philosophy. So, that is what we are doing. The various programs of VHP are still aligned to protect the Hindutva both in number and in its ideological sense.
As you said, your work is basically on the protection of Hindu rights or Hindus all over the world. Now, it has been always a concern for the Hindus that the religious conversions. It has been always a concern for the Hindus. So, what according to you is the ground reality today? So, and what actions does VHP take in this regard, regarding the religious conversions, especially in the areas like Jharkhand and other northeast areas? Conversions are reported in a large scale. So, what is the current scenario or ground reality nowadays?
When I said we are engaged in protecting Hindu dharma, both in number and in its philosophical or ideological sense, the number means that conversion and some other measures also. The number of Hindus is diminishing within India, outside India. There are some regions of internal, the Hindu families are changing. The number of children in family are getting lesser and lesser year after year. That is one side. Our second side is the conversion, what you have mentioned. we are definitely concerned about the both of them. We are not concerned about the conversion alone, because our concern is that a Hindu should not reduce in a number. They should maintain their ratio, proportion, whatever it is. We are not much interested in increasing, enhancing it, or expanding it. But at least whatever we are, we should retain the proportion. And that is where the threat of conversion becomes very relevant. Jharkhand, Northeast, as you said, there were threats of conversion in the past. 2 centuries were devoted to the conversion by Christian forces in the tribal areas, much away from the villages and the cities. That means wherever there was no literacy, no education, they reached first before any Hindu preacher could reach. And they converted their way of life, and then also converted their way of worship, because they are basically nature worshippers, and now they are Christians. So, but that was a saturation point for the tribal areas. Over last 1 decade or so, this threat of conversion is more prevalent in the villages and in the cities, and that is what is a concern to VHP. And we have taken several measures to arrest that. And conversion, we thought that after the Christian forces left India in 1947, Islamic forces were already eliminated or defeated from the ruling classes 2 centuries ago. So there is no threat from any of them. But there is a threat from both of them now. And the threat emanates from the declared objectives of both of them. The leadership of both says, Muslims say, Darul Islam, the whole world has to be made Islam. Similarly, the church said same thing, that the whole world has to be brought under the Christ shelter. Not less than a person, than Pope himself, when he visited India last, at the turn of the millennium, he said in Indian soil, he said that the next millennium is going to be Asia. The first, they converted whole of Europe. It took almost 1 millennium, from 1 to 1000 AD. The second millennium was Americas and Africa. And he declared on the Indian soil that the third millennium is now, it is turn of Asia, and the India will be the starting point. Lot of resources have been allocated. Regularly they are paying lot of money from all over the world to the forces who are engaged in conversion in India. So the whole conversion is now not much by approaching, or not much by logics. Most of it is through money, and some of it is through fraud also. Like they engage Changai Sabhaj and the treatment assemblies, where there is a drama of somebody getting fever, and then by sprinkling some water, he or she gets cured. So this kind of cheating assemblies are also source of conversion. And that is happening now not in Jharkhand or any other tribal areas. That is happening in the towns, in villages, and in some cases cities and metropolis also. Islamic conversion threat, we thought it is now, it is gone for good, but it has come back in a different form. We are sitting in Kerala. Kerala story started from here. So this new mode of conversion through deceit, converting the girls from Hindus, now it has reached as a scale that now we know that it was not a sporadic incidence, it was not any some enthusiast jihadi at one particular location. It is now the nationwide, and it is a planned movement. It is planned conspiracy. This is the mode, because they don't have access to that much money as the Christians have. They have no logic to explain to any Hindu that why they should convert. So now they have found the ways of converting Hindus through this, the Hindu girls, etc. So we are analyzing the reasons for each of them, Christianity and Islamic both, and we are taking action to counter them very much. At the same time, we are also engaged in what we call reconversion, ghar vapsi, that those who were lost to the Hindu society, community, we talk to them, and very easily, just by approaching them, that what you have gained by leaving Hindu fold, are you happier than earlier? Just by a couple of dialogues and conversations, most of them come back to the original fold. So the weakness is within our organization, that we are not able to reach by and large to most of them. But wherever we are able to reach, they come back. Most of them, not 100%, but most of them do come back. So all the things are going simultaneously. But fact remains, the number we are able to bring back to Hindu fold is much less as compared to the number we are losing to Christianity and Islam.
Good afternoon, sir. As the Secretary General of Vishwa Hindu Parishad, how do you view the role of Hindus living in abroad, promoting our Indian culture, and what is the core mission of VHP? Can you explain it in simple terms?
One of the fundamental objective of establishing VHP was to have a dialogue with the Hindu diaspora who are settled abroad. It started not very long ago. Lot of number went during British period, when the sugarcane farmers were taken under some agreement to the various territories controlled by the British, where the farming culture was not there. Mauritius, South Africa, Fiji, Suriname, Guyana, Trinidad, Jamaica. There are various territories all over the world where in a great number the Hindu farmers were taken. They are still there. Some of them have converted into Islam or Christianity because of the legal problems. Hinduism was not recognized either in South Africa or Mauritius or in the Caribbean. So whenever they had to marry, they needed to produce a certificate either from Maulvi or from a father, from church, which they did. And once they did that, many of them felt that now they are Christian or now they are Muslims. Not all of them, many remained Hindu. So there is a first emigration diaspora of Hindus was through these agreement controlled farm labor. They are called girmitiya, because agreement word became in as a slang girmit. So girmitiya mazdoor. Second wave started of the professionals settling down abroad once the immigration was opened after 1947 in big number. America happens to be the largest beneficiary of such immigration. And so right now, what we see the role of Hindus who are settled abroad, VHP has got 29 countries where VHP chapters are active. 13 of them are registered as Vishwa Hindu Parishad of that country under their local laws. 16 are not registered, but they are very active platform, unregistered Vishwa Hindu Parishad of that country, they are working. And close to 70 other countries, they don't have a formal organization, but we are in touch with them. We see their role as Hindus who have settled abroad and taken citizenship of their respective countries to be the cultural ambassador of India. After all, India is identified as a Hindu nation. It is a Hindu nation. Whatever is Indian culture, if we say, every element of Indian culture is nothing but various aspects of a Hindu way of life. So they become the cultural ambassadors, they become religious ambassadors, they become, if we can say so, because identity is India, in a limited term as political ambassadors also of India. And they have played a very significant and very positive role in this aspect. Whatever the political relationships between two countries are there are interests of each country. First thing is that we don't expect them to look towards India as a citizen of that foreign country, as Hindu, that is fine. That is the motherland, that is the cradle of Hinduism. They will always look towards whether it is Kumbha in a Prayag, or whether it is Ayodhya, or whether it is Kashi, or or Tirupati. They will look towards India as far as their religious practices and spiritual knowledge is concerned. But in political thing, we always tell them that you are now a citizen of America. If there is some time, because of any reason, some dispute between India and America, you should take care of American interest, because nation comes first. Your culture will always remain the same. There is no conflict between that. But then you don't have to show yourself what they call more loyal than the king. You are a citizen of that country, so you should take care of that country's national interest. But culturally, they are very much aligned. They are very much active. In many cases, more active than a general household in India, as far as Hindus settled abroad are concerned. And whatever role we expect them to play, they have been playing it very, very positively and actively also.
Sir, your organization work in rural and tribal regions has been widely appreciated. Have similar initiative been undertaken in forest and tribal areas such as Wayanad and Attapadi in Kerala?
Yes, as I told that religious conversion was one of the major concern of setting up of VHP by Pujne Guruji. And when at that time the old conversion were confined to the tribal area as far as Christianity is concerned. Islam was all over the country, because Islam had 800 years of ruling, so then their impact was all over. But Christian conversion impact was by and large confined to the tribal areas. So naturally tribal area became our one major focus, major area of our operations. VHP had a project to penetrate into tribal areas up to the village level, not village, even a village had several hamlets, up to the hamlet level through primary education. We have a project called Ekal Vidyalaya, and through the Ekal Vidyalaya means a single teacher school of the primary level in all those hamlets and villages. We at one point of time, because I happened to be a national president of Ekal Vidyalaya at that point of time, we were running the schools in 105 villages in tribal and rural areas. 105 villages, which is almost 20% of the total village number in India. So we had an access to them through primary education, and that access was then used to talk to those communities, influence those communities, and the whole village life was influenced through the contacts which were made through the Ekal Vidyalaya system. And I am happy to share with you that in those areas wherever Ekal Vidyalaya was working, no conversion took place thereafter, and many ghar wapsi or reconversion cases have started happening in those areas. So we have been working in the tribal and rural areas. Now the specific question about Wayanad, and you said something. Yeah. So in Kerala, through the same mechanism, Ekal Vidyalaya, we have Ekal Vidyalayas in Wayanad and Idiki. Both two divisions, what division we call in our VHP language, districts. This is the division where we are sitting, and then the Wayanad happens to be a district. So in the Wayanad district we have Ekal Vidyalayas, in Idiki districts we have Ekal Vidyalayas. So through Vidyalayas we penetrated into the tribal areas. Through the service, various other service projects have been taken up, and then we are working in those areas very actively.
What is the official policy of Vishwa Hindu Parishad regarding the funds collected from Hindu temples? How, in your view, these resources should be utilized in an ideal way?
VHP's stand as far as the Hindu temples, their properties and their monies are concerned, is the same what a common Hindu feels like. A common Hindu feels that the wealth generated in the temples, whether it is the land or it is property, buildings, shops, houses or liquid cash, they all are result of the offering by the Hindu devotees to the deity. If it is the offering of Hindu devotee to a deity, then its use is defined easily, that it has to be utilized for the purpose of the community of the deities who have been contributing this. Now, since it is difficult to identify who paid how much, so then it becomes the question of a larger Hindu community. So, we are very clear in our stand that any utilization of temple funds or properties for the benefit of anybody other than Hindu society, even the state government is not Hindu society. That is diversion of fund, that is a theft from the deity's pocket. The property and the funds should be utilized exclusively for the benefit and welfare of the Hindu community. And we have identified some ways how to do it. First, they have to start some Ved Vidyalayas, Sanskrit Vidyalayas, Gaushalas, which these are the various kind of the welfare measure which are related directly to the religious practices. So, Ved Vidyalayas, Sanskrit Vidyalayas, and then also the Gaushalas and some other welfare measures. Then if a particular temple is rich enough, then they should start the general education and health institutions also for the welfare of all. In a hospital, etc., we don't want to discriminate that who should be the beneficiary, that only Hindus should come, only the no non-Hindu patients should come. No. As the Hindu philosophy goes, we always talk of the welfare of the all human beings. So, but by and large it should be for the Hindu community. Whatever is happening in certain parts of the country, in certain states, not all over Bharat, that state government controls the resources, their utilization, and they tend to utilize what politically suits to them, and that is theft, that is stealing the money of deity by the politicians for their narrow political gains. So, this is you can call it stealing, you can call it dacoity, because it is in the daylight and they are doing it following a so-called perceived system or delegation under some law which was enacted by East India Company, a commercial company, trading company, not even by Crown, British Crown. They enacted this law just to enhance their revenue and profit and share prices in London Stock Exchange, which the British Crown continued after the East India Company was replaced, and once the British were replaced, the so-called democratically elected governments also followed the same suit, not because of the welfare of the state, because of the political gains of the party which are in power. So, unfortunately, this stealing or dacoity has been robbing is going on for last almost 2 centuries, little over 2 centuries, which has to come to stop. VHP stand is very clear about that.
Sir, since 2018, there have been like a series of controversies and other issues around, like we know Shabarimala Sri Ayyappa Swami temple, and also Vishwa Hindu Parishad has approached High Court of Kerala for conducting a new Deva Prashnam for these incidents. And sir, do you believe that including the arrest of the Tantri and others such incidents have like affected the divine sanctity of temple, the Shabarimala temple?
Temples are part of religious rituals. In a spiritual sense, one can attain moksha or nirvana without going to a temple also. But that is only for a very few enlightened and very few what we call sadhaks or tapasvi. For the general common masses, temple continues to be a source of satisfying their religious quest and religious needs. Now, it is no law can be enforced that how the religious rituals should be performed. Nowhere in the world except in India Nowhere in the world, no state government ever has defined that how an arti in the mandir should be performed, who will perform the arti, what should be the prayer, what should be the language of the prayer, what should be the timing of the prayer. This is unfortunately, as I said, a legacy of a commercial company called East India Company, followed because of narrow-mindedness by the British Crown and thereafter by the politicians in India. The so-called controversies about Sabarimala, etc., are nothing but political gimmicks. Religious practices have to be continued. What is the belief of the devotees? No state has got any authority or any business to intervene in between the religious beliefs of a community, any community, whether it is a nirgun or a sagun or with shape or without shape or dvait or advait, whatever kind. So whatever is the religious practices of any sect, particular sect or particular section, that has to be honored and respected. Since the state has no business, even the court should be refrained from intervening in all these practices. It is a matter of religious faith and it should be left to the devotees. There are time tested traditions, because in a religious matter there is hardly any new innovations happening. So whatever has been the time tested traditions, the state and courts both should respect it, and constitution does not come in way. It is only the misinterpretation of the constitutional provisions that the state and courts have been misusing. Otherwise, this should be left to the devotees themselves. Now, coming to the question whether such controversies do affect, look, those who are staunch devotees of a particular sect or a temple or a deity, may what come in the court or may what come in the government, they don't deter from their beliefs. This kind of belief is since centuries. It is in their blood, it is in their DNA. So this kind of controversies, which are creations of the narrow-mindedness of politicians and the political parties, and unfortunately overzealousness of the courts also, when they try to intervene and try to interpret and then try to give a decision as if they are authority on the religious practices, they complicate the matter. Otherwise, those who are devotees, all these things do not matter to them.
Who the Ekal initiative, we have been reached of more than 1 lakh villages, and beyond education and sansar and the empowerment, would you share any example of a village or an individual which has been transformed with that project?
Thank you for asking such a direct question and about the impact of our initiatives. As a large organization, a global scale organization, we do undertake several projects with certain objectives, and we have a system of assessment of the impact of our projects also. As far as Ekal's intervention in more than 1 lakh of villages, education, health, empowerment, sanskars, etc. is concerned, there are umpteen number of villages in Jharkhand, in Odisha, in Chhattisgarh, the tribal region, which is a tribal belt, when the Naxalism and the left extremism was on the peak of its height in that area, not anymore. It was the only and only Ekal volunteers and Ekal teachers who were roaming around freely. Reason? Most of the students of Ekal Vidyalaya happened to be the sons and daughters of those Naxal cadre. They themselves took up the gun under whatever kind of compulsion or coercion or belief, but they always wanted their children, their boys and girls, to go through the schooling, studying, and then lead a normal civilian life. So we had an insurance. This Naxal leadership was against us. because of the obvious reasons. But they were compelled because they knew that there will be revolt in their cadre. The leadership knew it very well that the Ekal Vidyalaya, they touch Ekal Vidyalaya and there will be revolt in their cadre, because Ekal students happen to be the children of nobody else other than the Naxal cadres at large. And through our intervention, we were able to bring back a lot of Naxals to surrender guns, come back to the normal civilian life. This was one of the reasons. I don't claim that this was the only way that Naxalism or left extremism was eliminated from those areas, not at all. But this was one of the major reasons, the impact of Ekal Vidyalaya in controlling, curbing and eliminating the left extremism from the tribal areas of Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh and Odisha in particular was very, very significant impact. Now the village side, because of Ekal Vidyalaya, the student at the tender age had access to the education. After 4 or 5 years in Ekal, they could walk around because now they were grown up, 11 or 12 years old. They could walk and go to 4 kilometer, 5 kilometer away government school, where they will continue their education in class 6 or class 7. Many of them did matriculation, became politicians, sarpanch, MLA. Many joined the central government forces, CRPF, BSF, ITBP, army, military. Because of the physical condition, they were in any case eligible, but they did not have access to education. So illiterate nowadays are not taken even in military or paramilitary. But after this Ekal's intervention, they could complete their middle or matriculation and they became eligible, and many of them, thousands of them have joined the military or paramilitary only because of the reason that Ekal could connect them to the education by providing the foundational level education when they were quite young and could not commute to the government school, which happened to be a faraway place through dense forest and jungles. Apart from the individuals, there are Ekal teachers, Ekal students who became Ekal volunteers later, trainers, the supervisors, and they are still functioning like whole-time volunteers of Ekal. So, and they have been contributing to the various sectors of the community or society in their own way, because everybody has interest. Somebody wanted to be a leader, so he joined politics and became sarpanch, panch or MLA, somebody went to the forces, etc. So Ekal has been instrumental in transforming the economic side, the health side, education side, and ultimately our goal was to curb conversion and to bring them back into Hindu fold, and we were successful by and large.
So, the issue of so-called love jihad remain controversial. Love jihad. Love jihad. Love jihad.
Love jihad. Okay.
In this context, some critics says the films like the Kerala story portraying Kerala negatively. What's the stand of VHP on this, and what's your personal opinion on this?
You see, this is a matter of fact available on record and a truth. Nobody has denied that the word was coined by Kerala High Court first of all. Nobody used this word other than Kerala High Court in a case involving a Christian girl of Kerala who was deceived, cheated and then shipped to IS to become a sex slave. Parents went to the court, and in the judgment the court coined this word of love jihad. So long it was a solitary case, there was no issue, but it was not so. There were repeatedly cases happening, and initial all cases happened in Kerala, because the institutions which were promoting this, funding this, planning this, training the boys, they all happened to be in Kerala. So initially all these things happened here within Kerala, and then from here the fire caught all over the country within India. So the story, when the film was made by the producers, it happened to be from the origin of the place and the place where the number of cases were the maximum. So naturally it became a Kerala story. Whether the giving the name or title to the film attached with Kerala, it is to me, I am not a person from the art side, I am a social worker, I do not say, but fact remains it is a truth that all these things started from Kerala, which now have spread all over the country. Today it is not the problem of Kerala alone, it is the problem of all the states wherever Hindus are there. No problem in Mizoram or Nagaland, but otherwise wherever Hindus are there, this is the problem all over the world. So, title perhaps could have been different, but the fact remains all this is started in Kerala. Kerala High Court coined around this word first. So, little bit of I won't say blame, but little bit of sacrifice the Kerala state has to make, because it all happened here. Whatever happens in many other state, the state name is always attached to it. You can't escape it. So, only way to escape is to curb it, challenge it and stop it. Once you are able to stop it, that will again lead the whole country, the Hindu society in other state also. Okay, it started here, but we have been able to stop it now, and this is the way we found the way. You can lead the whole Hindu community in all other state as well.
Sir, earlier you said that regarding the Hindus abroad, you told that first preference is for their nation and culture follows through them. But I agree with you. But regarding our neighboring countries like Pakistan and Bangladesh, the situation is somewhat different. Hindus in these countries, especially recent incidents in Bangladesh where Hindus are burned alive and making or creating fake stories on them. They are abusing Islam and all. They were being tortured. They were killed. So what is the stand of VHP in protecting the Hindus of Bangladesh and countries like Pakistan?
You see, I think these are two different things. We cannot connect these two things. What I said, if politically there is any issue between India and the host country, the Hindus, the citizens of that country should prefer national interest of their country where they are citizen of. Culturally, they will always look towards India. But Bangladesh events were totally different. Bangladesh events were not a conflict between the sense of nationality or religion. Hindus in Bangladesh had no say, no choice. They were simply looted, plundered, exploited, burnt and killed merely because they were Hindus. Because the elections were around the corner and the two contenders, both the what they call jihadi party, the newly formed political platform, and the earlier fundamentalist political party BNP, both had to prove to their Muslim community that we are more pro-Muslim than the other, and the way they found both of them was only to kill Hindus. So there was nothing to select between the religion or India or to their own nationality for Hindus in Bangladesh. They became victim of the political violence, where both the political rivals started proving to the general Islamic masses, because they are still 92% Muslims. So they wanted to prove they are more Muslim than the other party, and the Hindus became victim of their rivalry. So VHP is very clear. This was criminal act on the part of jihadis of both the sides, BNP and the jihadi party, and they need to be dealt with under the law of that country, which does not allow killing of anybody merely because he follows a particular faith or particular kind of religion. So these were the criminal acts. The government of that time, that was irresponsible government, not representative government, which came through backdoor by some Rohits, etc., and they were least concerned about all these things. Rather, they were hand in glove, what we now come to know after the elections are over. So VHP still maintains that these things cannot be pushed under the carpet. Every incident should be independently investigated, and the culprits should be brought to the book and they should face the legal action.
What do you expect the government of India to, in this regard? What action should have taken or should be taken regarding this?
We as VHP will always ask what I have just now said, but as far the government is concerned, this is one of the issues, because for the government of India, the Hindus in Bangladesh cannot be an issue in isolation. There is an issue of chicken neck, there is an issue of access to northeast, there is an issue of access through Bay of Bengal to Tripura. There are many issues related. Hindus in Bangladesh is definitely one of the issues which should be a prominent issue for the government of India. When all these things were happening, the VHP delegations met the Home Minister, the Foreign Minister, and impressed upon that. And based on the delegations' discussion, government took action at that point of time. They called Bangladesh ambassadors and shared their concern. They talked to that kind of the administrator of that point of time. The PM himself spoke to him and asked for protection of the Hindus, etc. So whatever was politically possible at that point of time, we think it has been done. But now is the time to act, because now the situation is clear. There is responsible government in position, and there will be talks started now or later once they take office. And Bangladesh Hindus should be definitely a prominent part of any negotiation which happens with Bangladesh.
One more question connected to that. In Bangladesh, we know that Jamaat-e-Islami is the organization which was basically behind the murder of Hindus. In Kerala also we have a Jamaat-e-Islami and other organizations like Popular Front of India, SDPI, etc. So in West Bengal also we have seen a lot of Hindus being murdered. So how do you, what do you think that these Islamic organizations, they are still working without any difficulties?
Check.
Yeah.
You see, this is unfortunate part of the Indian Constitution. In the name of secularism, asking question from anybody who hurts Hindus becomes a taboo. Secularism in India means hurting Hindu sentiments. Damaging Hindus is a secularism. That is how the secularism, in practice, it has become in India. Jamaat-e-Islami in Bangladesh or Harkat or PFI in Kerala, etc., these are not the new things. All these things have been happening over decades, many times. But touching anything Islamic becomes sort of non-secular. This is how the whole narrative has been established by the communists and the non-BJP political spectrum, that you touch Christianity or any minority institution or Islamic, you are not a secular. You are doing communal practice. Even when they are engaged in criminal activities, which under Constitution and IPC are punishable, still if they ask question, again the issue of secularism will be brought in to protect all these activities. This is unfortunate that the secularism in practice is totally vitiated in India because of the politics and the political narratives which have been set up here. Sooner we get rid of such narratives, the better. Otherwise, we are in for a big conflict.
So after a long legal and social process that led to the construction of Ram Temple in Ayodhya, there is an ongoing discussion about the Kashi Vishwanath Temple and Krishna Janmabhoomi. So what's the current stand of VHP regarding this?
VHP stand all along, not current. Even when we were engaged in the Sri Ram Janmabhoomi temple agitation and the court cases, our stand has been very clear. The Muslim society, which demolished close to 30,000 temples, and on 1/3 of them they set up their mosques. On the demolished site of temples, they set up their mosque, almost on 1/3 of them, 10,000. We always have been telling to them, hand over the 3 sites amicably to us, Ayodhya, Kashi and Mathura. We are ready to deal with the Hindu society, convince the Hindu society to forget about all those 30,000. If you don't give the three sides, then we will start agitation on ground, in courts, and we will take in any case all these three. But then we don't stop at three. Then the issue of the 30,000 remains open. It may take 100 years, it may take 200 years. Unfortunately, Ayodhya, they did not agree. We had to take it through agitation and process of the court. So then whatever offer the VHP leadership made at that point of time, that was not accepted by the Muslim community. So we still stand by our stand that Kashi and Mathura, and Kashi Mathura cases are legally much stronger than what was in Ayodhya. Because in Mathura, the title of the land is in the name of the Keshav Rai, the deity. There is no dispute about that the land belonged to the Krishna temple, and it is, the records are there for more than 600 years. The daily journal of transactions, like the minutes of the meeting in Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, verbatim, the original journal of Aurangzeb's court is still there, intact, in Asiatic Society, Calcutta, which mentions today on this date, Aurangzeb ordered to demolish the temple in Mathura of Keshav Rai and erect a mosque on that. It is recorded and it is available, original. And when again after a few days there is a compliance order that in order of that dated such and such, today came Mr. such and such as a messenger to inform to the emperor that the temple has been demolished and a mosque has been erected. All these are the documentary proof which were not available easily in the case of Ayodhya. And thereafter the whole piece of plot was still remained in the name of the, because the mosque was connected, a building was erected, but nobody prayed or offered a namaz in that mosque. So it remained a structure. Marathas rebuilt the temple, which was again went into the disuse, and during East India Company they found that there was no land revenue coming from that particular plot. No rent was coming because that was a commercial organization. Every land has to give them some rent. There was nobody paying rent to them because there was a dilapidated temple, there was a dilapidated structure of mosque, nobody paying, staying there, nobody visiting them, nobody was paying rent. So they auctioned the plot. Once they auctioned the plot, there is a auction records available of East India Company. One Hindu from Kashi region bought it, paid the money in auction and bought it in his name. So the title was transferred to his name. Thereafter for close to 120 years it remained in his name or his progeny's name. Thereafter in Madan Mohan Malviya, after setting up BHU, he started a movement or an effort to take that piece of land that was bought from the successors of that person, and then that was bought and registered in the name of the Sri Krishna temple, which continues to be today. Even so, over last 100 years there have been lot of cases in the British court, in the Privy Council, in the High Court of Allahabad, everywhere by the Muslims to grab that land, but all of the court cases have gone against them. It has been established. So Mathura and Kashi cases are open and shut cases. There are recorded evidences available which cannot be disputed by anybody, and it is a matter of time. So the Muslim community are simply wasting time misusing the legal process by bringing it stay against every order of the court. They are just delaying what is eventually going to happen. So we are clear that better they hand over us amicably in time to us. Otherwise, because based on the evidences, court is obliged to hand them over to the Hindu society in any case.
Sir, like in this current scenario, we know like third parties are intervening of like temples, like on the authority of temples and all. Like third parties are continuously involving in these cases and
Which cases?
like temple sanctity and like other
Temple sanctity and all these things, yes.
and all of them. And like I want to know that what steps are VHP taking to safeguard such safeguarding like Hindu traditional beliefs and other temple customs.
You see, as I said earlier, in the religious matters and between the God and his devotee, there is no place for any third party, be it state or be it court. There is no place. If it is happening, this is wrong and this is not acceptable. Now, the state is taking shelter under some HRC Act of 1782 enacted by East India Company. East India Company was not a representative government or democratic government or a sovereign. It was a foreign invader. It was a commercial entity who wanted to enhance their share prices through the increased revenue of temples. How a law enacted by them can be a basis in an elected democracy? So, what the states are doing is not acceptable, and once that act has to be totally done away with, which we have been asking, abolish the HRC Act of 1782 of East India Company, abolish that act, hand over the temples to the devotees of Hindu society. It is the Hindu society whose devotees, who are visitors, who are worshipping, who are offering gifts to the deity, they should manage the temple affairs. So then there is no place for state, there is no place for courts. Anybody trying to do that is totally against constitution. They are misinterpreting constitution, but this is not constitutional. That a democratically elected government should follow an act which was enacted by a foreign invader, which happened to be a commercial entity at that point of time. So the commercial entity will make rules what suits to their revenue and their profit loss account, not what suits to the Hindu devotees or to the customs or the religious beliefs of the masses. But this is the duty of the elected governments and the masses, that they do respect the beliefs and the sentiments of the masses.
Sir, there are the instances of religions conversion both from Hinduism to Islam and from Islam to Hinduism. Does the Vishwa Hindu Parishad view this situation in same light, or does it differentiate between them?
You see, we maintain always that everybody in India is Hindu. Whatever kind of Muslims we find here or Christians we find here, none of them came from Turkey or Saudi Arabia or Rome or Italy or Greece. They all are Indians. They were converted in an environment when they had no free will. So against their free will, they all were converted, either through sword in Islam, through sword, through jizya taxation, leaving no choice to them, under coercion, or in case of the Christianity, through the money or through deceit or fraud. So it is not conversion by free will. So they were forcibly converted, they were fraudulently converted. Doesn't mean that they are not anymore Hindus. They are Hindus converted by fraud or force or deceit or greed. They have to come back to Hindu fold. It may not happen in 50 years in your life or my life, but this is our stand, that they are Hindus, they should come back to Hindu. What we all are Hindus of today, they are Hindus of yesterday. So tomorrow they will also join the Hindus of today.
Sir, you talked about the conversions earlier, and just now also you were referred as the conversions and Garvapsi, reconversions. And how do you define the difference between forced conversion and free choice conversions?
You see, forced conversion happened mostly during the regime of Islamic rulers, be them Ghoris or Khiljis, Tughlaqs or Mughals. During their regime, what was the choice available to a defeated society? The society was not defeated, it was their king who was defeated, because king was fighting in unison. They did not take help of another Hindu king. So fighting separately, one by one, they all lost. So the king was defeated, not Hindu society was defeated. But Once the king was defeated, after that king was not given any choice, he was given choice of only these three. Either you convert to Muslim, many kings did, or get killed, many more got killed, did not agree to convert. And then later on, during the regime of Tughlaqs, 300 years later, a third choice was also given to them. You become sweeper and sweep in our palaces. Many opted that also. So what we call the sweeper community today, they are those kings and the Rajputs, Kshatriyas who were defeated in North India. They did not convert, they did not get killed, they had no courage to get killed, but they accepted an insulting way of life of becoming sweeper. Where is the free will? This is the force. So whatever conversion took place in India from Hinduism to Islam, you can say 100% of that was by force only. There was no free will.
So you left your career from career as a chartered accountant and to join VHP. What inspired you to leave a corporate role to become a full-time Karyakarta?
I have been a Sangha Swamsevak since my childhood. I had always aspired to become a pracharak. But my grandfather, in our system of the family, the head of the family has the final say. He did not agree, and my father, my mother, my uncles, aunts, nobody could help me. Father said, you are eldest son of my eldest son. You can't join army, you can't become a pracharak, you can't become a monk. Rest, whatever you want to do, you can do, but not these three things. You have to continue the lineage. So then I pursued my studies and entered the domestic life, what we call Grahasthashram. But I was determined that the day my Grahasthashram duties will be over, I will leave Grahastha and I will become Vanprasthi. So the day my youngest son got married, other two have already been married, next day morning I resigned from my job and I left home, and here we are. Last 13 years I have been a Vanprasthi Karyakarta of Sangh. So Sangh sent me to VHP. VHP decided for 8 years for Ekal Vidyalaya, last 5 years in the organization. So here I am. I am very happy that I could, in a different way, could fulfill my childhood aspirations.
As the Secretary General of the VHP, how do you define the role of an organization towards becoming a developed nation of Vikasit Bharat of 2047 and the coming generations of AI?
Concept of Vikasit Bharat is not new. Bharat has been at the pinnacle of knowledge, education, economy, agriculture, research and development for at least 3 millenniums. An OECD funded study which came out only 5 years ago, the OECD history of world, economic history of the world, and it is funded by OECD, not India, not VHP, not Sangh. And that has brought out that since, because they said they could not go back before the era 1, because no documentary or no reliable evidence is available. So they started the writing economic history from the year 1 came to the present time. And if you have access to that, it is a published public document. From the year 1 till 17th century, as late as 17th century, India was at the top economy of the world. Not in Europe, not in East Asia, not China. America in any case was not there at all at that point of time. Once we were contributing 36% of global GDP for 1000 years. After Islamic invasion, it started coming down. But still, throughout the Islamic region we remained at number 1, because what Islamic people did, they did not touch our economics, they did not touch our farmers or artisans. They converted them, yes, religious conversion, but economic fundamentals they did not touch. As a result, India remained economically on the top of the world. But when the Europeans came, they touched our economy, they touched our education system, and that is when we started the slide. And by the time the Europeans left India in 1947, we were at the bottom of the ladder. That is the contribution of the Europeans, we must understand very well. That from the top of the economic ladder, within 250 years we came at the bottom of the ladder. That is the contribution of Europeans to Indian society. Not only in economics, they ruined our farming, they ruined our education system, they ruined our research and development faculties, art and culture, everything the Europeans ruined. Islamists damaged in the religious matters a lot. They demolished our temples, they converted lot of Hindus, but beyond that they did not do much of damage. What Europeans did, much more than that in only 250 years. Now the concept of Vikasit Bharat is to bring back the glory which India enjoyed at one point of time. VHP maintains that Hindus of this country who love this country as their own, because in India and Hindu there cannot be the two sides, they are the one and the same. They are the one who are at the forefront of what you said, AI or the whatever happening in a digital world, or because these are the Hindus. If you see the contribution of the Muslims or the Christians to whatever transformation has been happening through technology in India, it is the contribution largely of Hindus only. And Hindus will strive to see that we retain and bring back the glory what it used to be in the name of the Viksit Bharat. It is going to happen for sure, provided Hindu remains Hindu, they remain united, and they continue to contribute to the prosperity of the country.
And in many of the temples in the country which are owned by Parivar related organizations, non-Hindus are allowed to go inside and worship. Recently, the temple in Badrinath and Kedarnath, they have this news are coming that they have decided to stop the entry of non-Hindus. So what is the stand of VHP, whether non-Hindus should be allowed inside the temple or they should be stopped?
You see, Hindu per se is a universal religion. So in Hindu temples, entry of all humankind has always been permitted. Always been permitted. And that is the stand of VHP also. Problem comes when the people from other faiths enter the temples with ulterior motives. In Badrinath, there have been cases of Muslims entering, loitering around the temple and then preying on the Hindu girls, taking them away, and lot of crimes have taken place. That is why that is the reason the Bajrang management put up this kind of restriction. But otherwise, per se, philosophically and ideologically, VHP is not against entry of anybody into the Hindu temples.
And one final question, what is your message for the Hindus of Kerala?
Hindus of Kerala are right in middle of a big struggle because they are feeling pressed from three sides: Islamist jihadis, Christian expansionists, and communist Hindus. So what remains of the Vedic Sanatan Hindus? It is a difficult situation for them, but Sanatan has always emerged as a victorious against any kind of odds. We have held the Greeks for 300 years at bay. We have held 800 years of Islamic exploitation, coercion, and we have dealt with 200 years of Christian coercion also. So these are not the new things for us. We know how to deal with them. The threats come in different forms. These are the new forms presently coming, but we have to remain firm on our Hindu beliefs, Hindu way of life and Hindu culture, we will emerge victorious. Just keep firm.
Thank you so much for coming out here and sharing your views with us. We extend a lot of thanks and gratitude by personally and on behalf of all the students and staffs of Mahatma Gandhi College of Mass Communication and KSRI Weekly also. So thank you so much, sir, for spending your valuable time with us.
Thank you. It has been a pleasure interacting with the youngsters, because coming from 70s now talking to the people in 20s always makes us feel better. Thank you.